Earlier, I spoke to the Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for Thames Valley. That's Matthew Barber.
I certainly don't agree with everything that they've said in their report, but what I do think is really important is where they've emphasised the need to change the funding formula, which is how the money is distributed between the various police forces in England and Wales.
We've heard that phrase before, especially when it comes to education. So the present one I know has been in place for about 20 years. So how would you like it changed, and how would it benefit Thames Valley Police?
Well, at the moment, if we got the same amount per head of population as, for example, a force such as Durham, we'd potentially be able to have an extra 1,000 police officers in the Thames Valley. That's a huge difference that it would make to policing on the ground. So this isn't just about we need more money from government into the system. It's about how that money is distributed and what we're able to spend it on.
That being said, there definitely has been a cut in the amount of money that the police have been having, whatever police force.
Absolutely, and I think forces like Thames Valley have seen that. We're around the average cut. We've lost around £100 million in recent years. That's had an impact. There's been a huge amount of work that Thames Valley Police have done to drive efficiencies, to make savings through back office functions, through property, to try and maintain as far as possible the number of police officers, particularly neighbourhood policing, which has now been ring-fenced under our new model. But I think that's another area that government need to recognise. They need to reward forces that have been able to make those efficiency savings rather than simply piling money into other areas where perhaps they haven't been able to make the same savings that we have.
But whatever happens, there are genuine public concerns about safety, the way crime is being investigated, being dealt with, not being dealt with. Police are being blamed on the cuts, but is it all about money, or are there other ways that perhaps you could do what you're doing with the amount of money more effectively?
So I don't think you would find anybody who doesn't think that we could do more if we had a bit more cash, that we could do more, we could investigate more crime, we could have more of a presence. Of course, that's the case, but there is also still an awful lot that can be done, which isn't about the cost. It's about using modern policing methods. It's about doing more online investigating cybercrime. Yes, there's a cost to all those things, but a lot of it is about training the right people, having the right equipment and the right systems in place that make better use of the money that we do have.
And given what you were saying about the money and the way it has been over the last few years, especially since 2010, are you concerned that whatever happens, those that are working within the police force are beginning to feel the effects? And it's not just a money issue, it's a morale issue as well.
Well, undoubtedly, there's a huge amount of strain, because at the same time as we're seeing the funding being reduced, we are seeing demand go up. And that's not down to the government particularly, but that's down to all of us. The demand on the police service is across the board, and we're seeing more and more calls on the police for more and more things which often aren't necessarily crime related, and that puts a huge strain on the force. Thames Valley is a very expensive place for police officers and staff to live, as it is for all the rest of us, and that puts an extra pressure on recruiting and retaining the staff and police officers that we need. So it's not all just down to the cash, but there are significant pressures on the police at the moment.
Yeah, especially given the government decided to give police a 2% increase in pay rather than 3% that was suggested. Again, that was a sort of bitter blow. But also, I imagine you still have to find it out of your current funds.
Well, this is it. I think everybody would recognise that the hard work that police officers do, the dangerous situations they put themselves in, they more than most deserve to be well rewarded for that. But equally, for every increase in police pay, that has to be funded from police budgets. And actually what most people want to see is more police officers. So again, there's additional pressure on the budgets there. That's why we press government to review the funding formula, because we believe that Thames Valley would be much better off under a fairer funding formula. But also we need to think about how we can be a bit smarter about how we use the resources that we do have.
And looking at sort of priorities and the way you spend the money, you have to then focus on certain things, because whatever people want to see various crimes reduced as they see it. But things like breath tests, they're down. Why is that? Is that one of those things that actually you need to prioritise, perhaps burglary or something else?
Well, it's interesting. The report makes reference to reduction in the number of breathalyzer tests. That's a national figure. I don't have the figures to hand for Thames Valley, but if you look across the Thames Valley, The number of road deaths, which is why we stop people, why we crack down on drink driving, the number of road deaths is actually down. So there's a lot of action that Thames Valley Police are taking to try and make our roads safer, to crack down on those people who are abusing the rules, and to make everybody safe. So I think that's actually one of our successes that we've had in Thames Valley, and road deaths are down.
That's Matthew Barber. He's the Deputy Police and Crime Commissioner for the Thames Valley. More on this story at bbc.co.uk/Berkshire.